Janet Carpenter. I have a Pilates and yoga studio that I've had for about 30 years ago. So that was primarily my life. Animals has always been a huge part of my life as well. So when an accident or a crash happened with my daughter, I knew really what to do. So I don't know if any of you know the story, sadly, about my daughter, but 12 years ago, November 4th, she was killed in a car wreck. She was sitting in the back seat of somebody that apparently couldn't drive very well, and killed also her two very good friends. As soon as I heard that happened, of course, you're distraught, you're in shock, you're very sad. Hopefully none of you have ever lost a child or grandchild, but it was devastating, and I just couldn't really go on thinking, how do you go on and then nobody ever acknowledges your daughter's name again? So I thought, no, she was a huge animal activist, so I wanted to really perpetuate her dream of helping animals out. So about 3 days later, I went to the attorney and I said, I'd like to start Sophie Kerrigan for the Love of Animal Foundation. And so this was a foundation that I started through an attorney and through board members, where we raise money and we would go into rescues and shelters and sanctuaries for animals. And it didn't have to be all dogs, even though that's primarily what we do now. But it was these groups, organizations that they had the animals, but they couldn't afford the fencing or the kennels or the truckloads of food, the medication, the surgeries. So I would have galas or any kind of fundraiser to pay for that. So probably to date, we have helped, I'd say, over 1,000 animals in that capacity. And that really, really, I know that makes Sophie smile every day from heaven. About 6 years later, the VA called me up and they had seen that I had a gala that raised enough money for 2 service dogs. So their HR met with me and said, would you be able to start a program in Dayton for our veterans for possibly a companion? Well, I took 6 months to start that program as I continued the other part of the foundation, and I found quickly that the veterans really wanted a service dog. Maybe 1 out of 10 wants a companion, but not many of them, because of everything that they came home with from the military, not feeling like they belong, or their brain trauma, their body trauma, reduction of limbs, whatever they came home with, they wanted that dog by their side. And so many of them, again, I don't know how educated everybody is here, but a lot of the veterans didn't even want to go out of their homes that I met. So I ended up turning it into, I had somebody just recently ask me, why do you have Sophie's Companions for Veterans that you advertise when they're service dogs? I said, because when I started the program, that's what it was going to be, just companions. But it's too much legal changing to change it to service dogs, so I'm just keeping it as it is. But so that's how I started all of this. So as I said, the VA came to me. I started Sophie's Companions for Veterans. And that's what really opened my eyes to what a lot of these veterans, how they live when they come back. I mean, it wasn't until I sat with a bunch of you guys or girls that they just didn't feel like they belonged. And we don't think of that when you have everyday lives. We think you come back and they're thankful just to be with family and friends, but they've witnessed and experienced so many different things that we have never witnessed in our lives. So anyway, that was a very big eye-opener. We are 100% free to veterans. So they pay for nothing during their training. We take care of the adoption, the vetting, the feeding. But one thing I changed, I used to have the trainers train our dogs before they went to the veteran, and then the veteran would train with them. But I found that there is a much faster connection once you have the dog with the veteran. A veteran brought that up to me. She said, please don't put the dog in training without me. And I said, well, you know, a lot of the rescues aren't used to being in a home environment. They're not used to going out and about. So I said, I guess we can try it. Of course, I had her sign something that if something happened, she wasn't going to sue us because she knew what was going on. But it ended up turning out beautifully. And think about it. I mean, the dog is with them 24/7. So, you know, they get attached like this, and they don't just get attached. The veteran gets attached to the dog as well, and the family, if they have a family in the home. So that is primarily what we do with the dogs. So how we do it is, several people have asked me recently, well, how do you find the right dog? That takes a lot of time. So for John, I would say I went through about 3 or 4 dogs before how many with you? 2 dogs before we found the right one for him, because John has a very outgoing personality. So I couldn't just get a quiet, you know, submissive dog for him. I needed a younger dog, and his dog is from a kill shelter in Kentucky. She lived a horrible life her first year, so now she's living the life of luxury. But I needed a dog that had more energy, so I really rely a lot on the sanctuaries, the people that are fostering, the shelters, just everybody. It's a little harder with the kill shelter because they're not able to get the dogs out as much, but I really, really would like to pull all of them so they don't get euthanized. My very first veteran, I wanted to talk about that. My very first veteran was a woman named Rebecca. And I got my board together. I consulted with my board, but I said, this woman has had cancer for 11 years. And I don't know that we take the time and the expense to train a dog for her. Well, it ended up being the best decision to get a dog for her. We got a little dog named Lumpy, and we had him trained primarily before he went to Rebecca. But they had probably 2 years together, 2.5 years together. And then her cancer progressed, and she ended up dying. And then he died a week later from cancer himself. So I have to say it was the best decision my heart could ever have made, that she was so happy and the family was so connected to that dog. And oddly enough, her husband then passed away, who was her caregiver, all in their 50s. Yeah, just incredible. But I guess it was meant to be because now they're all together. So that was my very first veteran, but it was a huge success story. Okay, as I said, all of our dogs are either from kill shelters, rescues, or sanctuaries. Our application process, we just have our veterans download on the front page. It wasn't very vigorous before. Now it's going to be a lot more vigorous, where we always have done the home check. We have to have 2 letters from a doctor saying that they would benefit from a service dog. Otherwise, we don't know if the dog's going to be safe with a lot of anger issues that the veterans do have with PTSD. So, and actually I've had doctors either call me up or send me letters saying this veteran should not have a dog. So that's very sad when the veteran continuously calls you or leaves messages and they want that dog. I just always say, please lean on your psychiatrist or your doctor and become the best that you can be, and then revisit coming back to Sophie's. Because I hate to tell them, no, you're never going to get a dog. But one woman, sadly, the doctor said she tried to commit suicide every month. And she had 3 dogs at home, but they were elderly, but she wanted a new one, you know, a service dog. All the rescues within our community, I'd say about all of them, have come to me with dogs that they think would make a good service dog or emotional support, whatever we need. And that helps enormously. Yeah, both of these dogs came from rescues where the owner had been around the dog quite often. So after Angel was pulled from the kill shelter, I wouldn't have known her personality because I'm not connected with those people. So Angel went to what rescue was that? Rescue Haven. Yeah, so what they did, a woman fostered Angel, and it really told us a lot about her. So we thought, oh, she's a perfect dog for John with a lot of energy. What do we do with dogs if a vet dies? We just had that happen. And again, my thought is the dog would always, and we discuss it with the veterans, that it would go to another veteran. However, thank goodness, in these two dog situations, they had someone at home. They had a wife at home. So both of the wives wanted to keep the dogs as emotional support. So it just warms my heart that one of the wives are taking their dog, and her husband had ALS. So he only had the dog for 1.5 years. But you know what? No other service dog agency would give him one. And they finally contacted, one of my volunteers saw it on social media. They were begging. And yeah, so that is a wonderful story. And I didn't hesitate. I said, absolutely, I think that gentleman should have that dog. So I hired 3 of my trainers. That dog got trained immediately and did a lot of training, but I can't even tell you, even when he died, his German Shepherd was up on the bed with him and cuddling with him, with his family around him. So that is so wonderful. The other gentleman, he was wonderful. But anyway, he ended up dying of prostate cancer. But at least, again, he had his dog for about 1.5 years. So both of the wives have taken the dogs. And like I said, the one wife, the one spouse is taking the dog to the VA, to retirement homes, to several other places. So the dog now has a whole different purpose. And the other wife is running, since her husband died, and she is running, like they do 5Ks and stuff like that to raise money, but her dog is like the ambassador for all of that. So these dogs are double purposing, which is fabulous. Fundraising, obviously, as you can all know, that we are a nonprofit, and so we depend on donations, grants. That's why I knock at Centerville Optimist periodically, or how many times have I been there?
The foundation too.
Yes. I know. Yeah, it is. It really is, because it's an ongoing process, getting dogs. So we do that. We have a family that's very generous to us within their family foundation. We have a sand volleyball tournament every year. We have disc golf. I don't know. We have so many different things, a lot of little things. The poker tournament. And now we're with the Chrome Divas, which will have us every year. The Jeep dealership had a big event for us. So, and then we do raffles. I can't even tell you how good the community is at donating raffles. It's always a pleasure that I am able to take a veteran to any of our events to speak. And Saturday, you guys didn't get to speak, so I'm sure you're very willing to speak and tell everybody about your story. So, Steve, why don't you come up, tell them a little bit about your background, where you served, what you did, and how Lily came to you and what she means to you.
My name is Steve Runnels. I served with the United States Army, 3rd Brigade, 3rd Infantry Division. We were the first ones across the border in 2003 into Iraq. In Iraq, I had multiple things that happened where I got blown up 3 times. I had 5 bullets bounce off my head, had an RPG come across my chest. I was blinded for 28 hours. Couldn't be medevaced out because we were under heavy fire. So going through all that, I developed severe PTSD and traumatic brain injury. And I was medically discharged in 2005. The VA in Alabama in 2005, at that time, told me a service dog would benefit me. It took me till 2019 to finally meet Janet and Sophie's companions to finally get a service dog. In that time, from 2005 to 2019, I didn't go to grocery stores except 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't go anywhere there was crowds. I couldn't. There was no way I'd be able to get up even here today and speak. Since I've had Lily, she's helped me so much with being able to go back into grocery stores, being able to go shopping. But not does she only help me, but this past May, I lost my son. He was hit by a car. She was there every day in the hospital with us. She not only helped me, my wife, but she helped my son's mom and her boyfriend and family to help get through it while we all sat there. And it's been really rough. But she's helped so much with even that. Between my wife and I, we've got 6 kids, 9 grandchildren, and the grandchildren climb all over. She just lets them. They've all come to love her and enjoy being with her. But if she sees that daddy's having issues, she comes to me immediately. At night, I suffer with epilepsy in my sleep. If my wife is not in the room, she will start barking as she lays across my legs or across my chest. And if I have to go to the hospital, she lays by the front door until I come home. And it don't matter if I'm there for 2, 3 days. That's where she stays, other than when the wife brings her up to the hospital. So, you know, these dogs, or at least Lily, has really saved my life. Has really given me a new purpose and a new ability to be able to get back into general society. When I first came back from Iraq, just go back a little bit, being around what we call normal people was the scariest thing. Because with the PTSD, I didn't know if I was going to have an episode, because at that time I was still going through flashbacks during the daytime. And they were strong. They're scary. Our families don't understand it. Doctors try to understand it, but their thing is medication. The service dogs, they understand it more than all of us, and they know how to calm us down. They know how to bring those episodes to a minimum and help us get back to feeling like we can live. Janet, give it back to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good job. I'd like to say that with the death of my Sophie, I could not pass on any of her organs because the crash was just too traumatic. But I want to say I'm so proud of Steve and his family, because through Aspen, 5 people have lived on now.
5 people got his organs, and he was able to help up to 65 people with his skin.
That is just incredible. So I really applaud my good friend for doing that. You're a strong fella. Okay, I would like to introduce John Dora Biala and his service dog, Angel.
I actually thought long and hard about what I was going to say. When Janet asked me to speak, I promised to keep it under 3 hours. So, where to start? My name's John. I'm 51 years old. I'm a retired Army vet, 24 years total in service, 13 years active, 11 years National Guard. I did 6 deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan, 3 to each. 4 as a soldier, 2 as a civilian contractor, and I was outside the wire for my entire time. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I rather got addicted to it, to be honest with you. I've always had problems with people because I have both complex PTSD and PTSD. I have complex PTSD from my childhood that was never diagnosed. So I'm very antisocial, anti-people. I did develop sort of a robotic personality as a defense mechanism to that, and people always knew that I was full of crap, only I didn't. It got to the point where I met my pastor, Pastor Dave, and he recently spoke about me in church and said that I was the angriest man on the planet when he met me. Now, bear in mind, I've had Angel going on almost 6 months now. So for me, it's been a miraculous change, especially since I have a dog that has a past quite like my past. Back to my military service, I've been blown up 5 times. Officially, I was wounded twice, but actually 3 times because I turned the 3rd one down due to the fact that they kick you out of country if you have 3 Purple Hearts. So I came back from that, and yes, I was very angry. I lost my best friend. I did a medevac for an 8-year-old little girl whose father set her on fire, and I saw the worst that humanity had to offer. And that's how I looked at life until I met Pastor Dave, and then I met Janet. Now, I have a friend, he'd been telling me for years that I needed a service dog, that I needed to go to church, that I needed therapy. And I said, no way, there's nothing wrong with me. Come to find out, PTSD is a very insidious disease. So while I do have a traumatic brain injury and ear issues, balance issues, I get debilitating headaches. I suffer from a range of symptoms because of that. Angel has actually helped me more with my PTSD than anything else. I actually found myself rocking out in the car to Boston the other day singing the Angel, and I haven't done that in a decade. I haven't done that since I was married. So for me, Angel truly did save my life, and I think Janet would agree because she knew exactly where I was, and she even said that I was so angry that she wasn't even going to give me a dog. So I guess, you know, going to therapy, going to church, and getting a service dog has been such a monumental change in my life that I'm probably here today because of that. I've been through some very dark places for some very good reasons. And today I stand here a testament to Janet and service dogs. And I hope that I can repay that debt that I owe to Janet. So thank you.
Now, doesn't that help a lot just to hear 2 of our veterans and how they speak and the difference in their life, completely in their life. And really, John was not a nice guy. But I'm telling you, when he called me months after our first phone call and he started to see a wonderful doctor in Springfield, started church, and he's in a men's group where he's even gone fishing with them, it's like, yeah, that's right. She went fishing as well. A whole new man. So it's amazing when you add great things to your life and great people, how things change like that for the better. But to sum everything up, what I feel about, and I think Jacob had asked me this question for his column or his article, you know, what does Sophie's really mean to me? I'll tell you, like Steve said, you're in the darkest of dark after your child dies. And I had been through 4 miscarriages. My dad, only 66, dying on my driveway as I gave him CPR. My high school sweetheart leaving my 3 children and myself. And then getting the notice that Sophie died, I was really going to commit suicide. I thought there's just no more that I wanted to take in life. And I feel like I've been a good person throughout my life. And I thought, why does this keep happening? So that is the reason why Sophie's means so much to me, because I now make a difference in other people's lives. It's changed my life completely. I used to give anyway, but now it's unbelievable. It's heartwarming to see this kind of connection. and to be able to take these gentlemen out into public and have them talk about their experience. So that is what it means to me, that it's just so important. And I wish every parent was able to do that loses a child, because there are some that are still in limbo. And they ask me when they see me, what can I do? And I thought, until you really feel it in your heart that you want to do something, I said, even if it's just a bench in your community with your child's face and name on it, just something small, or an annual fundraiser that you have every year, but try to give back in your child's name. But so that is my sole purpose, and that is why I'm here, to share what Sophie's Companions for Veterans is all about.